Heritage Minister Steven Guilbeault was part of the climate announcement today. He is the leading environmentalist in the cabinet. He joins me now. Minister Guilbeault, good to see you again. Let's be clear. This isn't a plan, though. It is a framework to get to a plan. A lot of people are wondering today, why aren't there targets and details set out in this bill?
Well, we already have a plan that was announced in 2016 with dozens of different measures, with $70 billion of committed investment between now and 2030, investment in electrification, in public transit, in renewable energy, in clean technologies. So the plan already is there. And this, as you say, is a framework, because climate change is not something we'll solve overnight. This is something that will take some time, some decades, and we need to have a vision as to where we're going so we can move backwards from there and saying, okay, well, if this is where we want to be in 2050, where do we need to be in 2045? Where do we need to be in 2040 and 2035? And that's what we're really doing. I mean, there's about 120 some countries that have made this commitment to being carbon neutral or net zero by 2050.
To be clear, this is the government you referred to it today as the accountability piece, right? This is supposed to bind you to the process, but
exactly.
We know it'll take up to 9 months after the bill is passed to actually announce targets and a plan to how we'll get to those targets for 2030. Those targets will be
well. We already have targets for 2030. But we did commit during the last campaign to be more ambitious. And in fact, my colleague, Minister Wilkinson, announced today that we will have soon a plan that will show how we go beyond those targets that we already have for 2030.
Why aren't, if we're in a climate crisis, why isn't the government setting targets for 2025?
Well, everybody has targets for 2030 as per the Paris Accord. So governments all around the world have agreed that the targets they were setting was for 2030. I mean, as I said earlier, climate change is an immediate threat, but taking action means that we need a bit of time to put things in place. As you know, in a parliament like ours, adopting a new bill, passing it through parliament, adopting the regulation can easily take anywhere between 12 to 18 months. So it's not something we can do overnight. Thank goodness we didn't start today. We started right when we were elected in 2015 after 10 years of inaction by the Harper government and the Conservatives. So as I said earlier, we have put in place, I believe that it's around 45 or 46 different measures in the previous parliament. We are continuing on our climate action because we know we need to do more.
Right, and as you know, no previous government of any stripe has met any of the climate targets to date. So when you say that we're going to be more ambitious and we're going to exceed the targets we've already set for 2030 when we roll out the details of this accountability and the minister rolls out the next plan for targets in 2030, I guess, why do you want people to believe that if no government's ever hit the targets?
Well, because no government has ever done what we've done. No government has ever put a price on pollution like we did. No government has ever committed tens of billions of dollars in investment to combat climate change and create jobs in Canada and create healthier communities. No government has ever adopted as many regulations as we have to try and make our different sectors more energy efficient, therefore polluting less. These are all things that we'd never seen before in Canada, or certainly nowhere near to the level of what we're seeing now. We've never seen a prime minister so engaged in this issue. We've never seen a cabinet and a government. I mean, we've spoken about Minister Wilkinson and environment, but we could be talking about Minister McKenna and everything she's doing in infrastructure. A $10 billion investment a month and a half ago for green infrastructures. So for the first time ever, we have this whole of government approach. It's not just the environment minister, it's everyone working on this.
Already many of the environmental groups, including the one you used to lead, are lamenting the fact that there are no binding obligations to deliver results, just a requirement for the minister to explain why efforts to hit the targets might fail if they do fail. So a lot of people wondering today why there's nothing in the bill that provides for penalties or consequences if the government fails to meet the targets.
Well, I mean, you referred to the organization I used to work to. The headline of their press release is a significant step forward. So, granted, people
Yeah, and to be fair,
would
a
like
lot
to
of the
see.
agents, a lot of the organizations are saying that, but almost to an organization, they come back to the targets out to 3030 and the fact that there's no enforcement measures that actually binds the government to targets they say are binding.
Well, I mean, we looked at the concept of penalties, but would the federal government be imposing penalties on itself? So, what the minister would sign a check to the finance minister. I mean, we looked at different mechanisms, but ultimately, this we're putting this in a bill so that our government and governments to come will be forced to report back to Canadians and to Parliament in terms of their climate action. And it's about accountability. It's about transparency, I'm the first one to say that this bill doesn't solve everything, which is why we have to look at the whole of government approach on this. This is one piece of many as part of our
Can
climate
you,
action.
when you talk about being, the promises the Prime Minister repeated today as well, to exceed the target set for 2030, give me a sense of what Canadians should expect to see. And you've talked about some of them. Beyond regulations on methane in the oil and gas industry, beyond a carbon tax, how's life going to change for Canadians in terms of trying to exceed the targets for 2030?
You listen to people like Mark Carney, who used to be the governor of the Bank of Canada, talk about this, and him and many others around the world are saying that the economy of the 21st century will be a green economy, or it simply won't be. And when you look at what France and Germany and South Korea are doing in terms of investment as part of the COVID recovery, billions of dollars are going into these sectors in clean technology, renewable energy, electrification, biofuels, and I mean it's about creating jobs. It's about cleaner and safer communities. Because if we don't fight climate change, we will have more and more natural catastrophes, and it's about doing what's right for our kids and our grandkids. And I think what people will see is a greener, cleaner, safer Canada as we move forward.
All right. Steven Guilbeault, Minister Guilbeault, thanks for your time as always. Good to talk to you again.
Thank you very much.